Hello, everyone, and welcome to My Turn to Talk. I am Solid Blue Sister, and I am here today on Thursday, June the 15th. Okay, so today I want to talk about forgiveness. And I want to mainly talk about the forgiveness of African Americans, Black people. When we forgive white people for killing us. Now, African Americans are pretty much church-going people. Okay, I go to church on Sundays. I read my Bible. I believe in the Bible. And I know that humans are sinners by nature. That's just who we are. We all sin. But African Americans have a habit, and not all the time, but we have a habit of forgiving people who have done us just profound injustice, even up to the point of murder, killing us. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not that good of a Christian. I'm not. If you intentionally kill a member of my family, my dog, a friend, or someone I don't even know, I'm not one to forgive. And some people may see that as a fault, as a character flaw, but I can't do it. I'm not that strong. Now, if someone were to kill a member of my family because it was an accident, you're in a car accident and, it's a rainy night and, your car skids and out of control and you hit, a family member's car or whatever, and that family member dies, I can forgive that. But to intentionally kill someone, and the reason that you're giving for taking that life is because of the color of their skin, I'm sorry. I'm not that strong. I mean, God will have to judge me on Judgment Day because I am not that strong. In 2016, Dylan Roof went to Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church. And cameras at the door show the church members going in for Bible study. Having no idea that 12 of them were going in and 9 would not come out, but a 13th person would. There was a 13th person. That 13th person was Dylan Roof. Dylan Roof went into Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church and was a Glock 45 with the intent of killing Black people. His reason? Someone had to stop the Blacks. They are raping and killing white people every single day. And he admitted to the killings. And one particular person who was prepared to die that day Dylan Roof told her, "Why are you crying? Have I shot you?" She said, "No." He says, "I'm not going to shoot you. You're going to live to tell the story." Two other people who walked out of that church who were victims. One was a mother who lost her son, watched her son get shot several times, watched her aunt get shot, and was protecting her granddaughter. So 3 people walked out of that church that day. 2 days later, Dylan Roof was captured. And the members, some of the family members of the victims told Dylan Roof they forgave him. Now, again, I tell you, I am not that strong. I wouldn't have done it. My reaction would be, may you burn in hell. African Americans have a very strong ties to their church. I mean, even during the lockdown, I went to church virtually. I have a very good bishop. I enjoy hearing the word. But I'm not strong enough to forgive someone who went in and killed someone because of the color of their skin. Then we have Amber Geyer. Amber Geyer. And we have Jean Brandt, who famously gave this police officer a hug after killing his brother. She's the one that walked in, supposedly it was the wrong apartment. She thought someone was breaking in when his brother was eating ice cream, and she shot him dead. There was a trial. She was convicted. And Jean Brandt asked the judge if he could hug Amber Geyer. Now, Jean Brandt's sister was a little peeved when he did that. She couldn't believe that her brother was hugging the woman that shot her brother. But he did. And the judge, who's African American, hugged her too. Now, some people would say that Black forgiveness is not for white people. And to quote a line from the Broadway hit Hamilton, forgiveness is a grace too powerful to name. You have previous slaves who forgave their slave masters, owners, for how they treated them. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. And again, I refer to the book Bullwhip Days, where they talk to surviving slaves and the atrocities that they went through. And you have some of them who forgave massa for the beatings, the rapes, the killings. Why do we do that? Why do African Americans forgive people who notoriously do us wrong? Why do we do that? Is it that for the ones that are forgiving, do they feel that they will have some place in heaven, that on Judgment Day, God will see them, more favorably? Because the Bible does say to forgive. And there's one particular quote, Psalm 103, verse 10. He does not treat us as our sins deserve. Meaning, God treats us better than we should be treated. And he does. Yet we have people who specifically go out and kill us and harm us and beat us, and we're forgiving them. Now, when Martin Luther King was heading up the civil rights movement back in the late 50s, early 60s, until his death in 1968, he was criticized by a lot of younger Negroes who thought the whole thing about peaceful protests, turn the other cheek, that we shouldn't do that. They thought we should take up arms and fight back. And now you look 40 years down the road to 2020 and everything that happened last summer. You have a whole new generation of African Americans who are the children of the people who thought that Martin Luther King was old school. Now we're old school, and this new generation thinks that we need to protest more, we need to do more, we need to fight back. But Martin Luther King, he was like, let's forgive them. We'll sit down and we'll kneel while they're spraying us with fire hoses and police dogs are biting us and we're getting beat with batons, because one day there will be justice. One day, God will show us favor. Has he? I think God shows us favor every single day. I also think that God gave us common sense. And he gave us brains. And he gave us the ability to do what's right and what's wrong. Which brings me back to forgiveness. You have now, I talked about the Little Rock Nine in a previous show. And everything they went through when they were trying to integrate Little Rock, Arkansas. And the abuse that they went through. And we have the Charleston Nine, the Charleston Nine who were killed by Dylan Roof. Did anything change in 50 years? Did anything change? I mean, we have people who went to school every day, got up every day to go to school. All they wanted to do was get an education. That's all they wanted to do. Get an education, possibly meet new friends, go home every day, study, come back, repeat the process. That's all they wanted to do. But they were spit on. Their lives were threatened. Their families were threatened. They were pushed downstairs at school. They were called names, vicious names. And of course, that word again, that nigger word came up a lot. All they wanted to do was go to school. And here we have the Charleston Nine. All they wanted to do was go and pray, have Bible study. And they welcomed Dylan Roof into their church, into their circle. They probably just saw someone who wanted to pray. And in his fanny pack, he had a Glock 45 just waiting for the right opportunity where he can start killing people. But he only thought he killed 5. He killed 9. But even for the Little Rock 9, they forgave. I'm not that big of a person. I'm not. They forgave. I truly don't understand how you can embrace someone or a group of people and forgive them when they have so much hatred in their hearts. When Dylan Roof was sentenced, he was he got the death penalty. Once again, one of the victim's family forgave him. And another one said, sincerely, may God have mercy on your soul. Now, I do believe that. I do believe that when people do such horrible things, I do hope God has mercy on their souls. But I can't forgive. And people who watch this later will probably listen to me and say, well, she's heartless. She's, she's cruel. How can she not forgive? But what about the people who did the deed? Dylan Roof walked out of that police station with a bulletproof vest on. They gave him a bulletproof vest. He wasn't, people didn't mob the police station and pull him out and beat him and torture him and hang him from a tree. That's only reserved for us. They brought him out. And when they arrested him, they gave him water and Burger King. And once again, I say, if Dylan Roof were Black and he had killed 9 white people in a church, the manhunt, Dylan Roof would not have made it back to the police station. He wouldn't have made it. But yet, we as Black people forgive. I don't know. Now, C.S. Lewis said, let me see if I can get this quote up. Okay, I'm not able to bring that up, so I'll just repeat it. C.S. Lewis said, to be a Christian means to forgive the inexcusable because God has forgiven the inexcusable in you. And that's not a Bible quote. That's a quote from C.S. Lewis. To be a Christian means, well, let's talk about being a Christian. Because you have these evangelical Christians out there who, in my opinion, again, my opinion, not very Christ-like. And they believe in a man and a group of people who are divisive and hurtful and mean. Do they forgive? Or do they deny? And sometimes I think white people, not all of them, but a fair amount of them, expect Black people to forgive. They expect us to, if they do us wrong, that we'll be the first ones to say, I forgive you. But I think they're in for a rude awakening, because I think the Black people in this country who tend to forgive are the older ones. And you have a younger generation coming up who I don't think are going to be so, I don't think they're going to be so um, ready to forgive. I don't. I mean, you have white nationalists that are proudly running for office, no shame, coming out and just saying whatever the hell they want because they think they can. I think you have more and more people who are exhibiting, more and more white people who are exhibiting white privilege because they've been emboldened by a person, by groups, by law enforcement, that they can do whatever the hell they want. You have some law enforcement officers who have been emboldened to go out and just beat the hell out of Black motorists just because they can, and they hide behind a badge. Not all of them, but the so-called bad apples that we talk about. But along the way, there's always that one or two, even if it's just one Black person who's willing to say, I forgive you. Now, I do believe in karma. I truly believe that sooner or later, the things that you do, the atrocities that you create, that you give out, I believe that sooner or later it is going to come back to you. And it may come back later. It may come back later. You know, it may come back 40 years later where there's a knock on your door and you're being arrested for, you know, a murder that you committed 40 years prior. But I do believe that sooner or later things catch up with you. But for me, I don't want to wait 40 years. I don't want to wait 10. But one thing I will not do, if you purposely kill a member of my family, I'm not going to forgive you. I can't. Now, when African Americans, I mean, I see it when I go to church. I see it when I walk into the building. You have your older group, you have your younger group, and then you have your children. Now, children are usually, they go off to, you know, Sunday school, whatever, while we're in church. I mean, that happened to me when I was little. I went to Sunday school when, you know, everyone else was in church, and then they had a service with the children and their parents or whatever. But I see it when I walk into the building, and you can feel the difference. I don't know if I'm describing this correctly. You can feel not a divide, like everyone there is there to fellowship and you're there to worship. But you know that there's a distinct shift between the way older people feel and the way younger people feel. And sometimes when Bishop is giving his sermon, and I look around and I can tell that the way older people are receiving the message and the way younger people are receiving the message is different. It is. Younger people, in my opinion, younger Black people, in my opinion, are not so ready to forgive. Let's go back to the 70s. Chicago, where you had the Black Panther Party. You know, they started to emerge. You had Huey Newton, you know, who did a lot of good. They fed children, they had daycares, but they also got a reputation and stereotype by white people for being this militant, violent group. Why? Because they chose the right to bear arms, because they chose to go out with guns. But they did a lot of good for the Black community. They were hounded. They were harassed. J. Edgar Hoover had them followed, had them taped. When I say taped, I mean wiretap. All this. But one thing that the Black Panther Party did not believe in that we should not be passive. They saw what happened to Martin Luther King. They saw what happened to Malcolm. They saw everything that happened in the 60s. They were living in a city with one of the, even though he was a Democrat, he was one of the most racist mayors, John Daley, who could care less about Black life. Black Panther Party thought that the civil rights were too passive, that you need to stand up. You do need to fight back. They weren't ready to forgive. They weren't ready to get down on their knees and pray while law enforcement is coming through with their batons, or as they were sometimes called, nigger sticks, to beat the hell out of you. They weren't willing to do that. They weren't willing to sit there and say, oh God, please. Now, they weren't violent, but they also weren't pushovers. I mean, we have people like Angela Davis, who stood up for her beliefs and she went to jail. We have all these people who want to stand up for our race against people who just do horrible things to us. And then you have other people who say, okay, they're doing it, but we have to forgive them. You know, like Jesus said on the cross when he was dying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Mm-mm. I don't know why we tell people like Amber Geyer that we forgive them. And now, 2 months ago, April, Amber Geyer, been in 10-year sentence, been in prison for 2 years. Oh, yes, she hugs Jean Brandt. Yeah, yes, I'm so sorry. Yes, I killed your brother. Oh. But now, 2 months ago, she's in court, her lawyer, fighting for her conviction to be overturned. It was unfair. It wasn't right. It was actually involuntary manslaughter. No, she should just be sentenced for time served. Let her go free. Really? You have Derek Chauvin. I don't know about you, but I didn't see any remorse. During that entire trial, even though he had his mask on, but I saw no remorse. Even when he was found guilty, I saw no remorse. There's no forgiveness there. You purposely killed someone. There's no forgiveness there. But I know somewhere there was a Black person saying, we have to forgive him. Mm-mm. What we need to do as Black folks, instead of forgiving, we need to make sure that people who do these things are held accountable. If they want forgiveness, let them fall down on their knees in jail and ask God for forgiveness. Let them ask for forgiveness. Let them be the ones to say, God, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Let them do it. Let them ask for it. We should not be giving them forgiveness. We need to make sure they're held accountable. Because in my opinion, every time we forgive a white person who does us wrong, who causes harm, either by death or being put in jail or by reputation. When we forgive, to me, we're emboldening them. Look at all these Karens out here who has called the cops on Black folks over stupid shit. Then after they get fired or after they go viral, oh, I'm so sorry. It wasn't my intent. That's not what I meant. All of a sudden you're sorry. So how many times have Karen's gone viral that there's another Karen that pops up that does the same thing and all of a sudden they're sorry? I'm sorry. I'm not like that really. I was having a bad day. See, white folks, they have bad days. So we have to forgive them because they have bad days. Black folks, we aren't allowed to have bad days. I'm so sorry. You're sorry because you got caught. You're sorry because you're on tape and it went viral. You're sorry because you lost your job. That's why you're sorry. You're not sorry for what you did. My thing is stop forgiving and start holding people accountable. But then again, Luke 6:37, forgive others and you will be forgiven. Well, I already know that when this world comes to an end and we're all lining up for Judgment Day, I only have to talk to one person. And that person will determine my everlasting or eternal life, however you want to put it. And forgive and you will be forgiven. Basically, we forgive others and God will forgive us. But I already know that God forgives me. I already know that God forgives my sins. He forgives everyone's sins. So I'm going to leave the forgiveness up to God when it comes to things like murder and beatings and things that are unjust towards us. In The Color Purple, there's a line where Whoopi Goldberg as Celie says to Oprah Winfrey's character, Sophia, after Mr. had beaten her again. And Celie says something like, you know, we need to forgive because something like heaven is forever. And Sophia replies, you need to forget about heaven and bash Mr.'s face in. Something to that effect. I mean, at what point does forgiveness ever really click in with white people? Now, I'm not saying that other races have not done us wrong and we have not done other races wrong, because we have. We all do each other wrong. But when it comes to white folks, it's always been a little different. So when we talk about teaching critical race theory in schools, are they going to talk about the Charleston church massacre? Are they going to be willing to talk about Dylan Roof? and how cold-blooded he was and how vicious he was? Or are they going to whitewash it and say, yes, he went in and he killed people, but he was forgiven by all the Black people, so that's fine. And that's how I think that white people see it sometimes. That, well, they forgave, so how come you can't? Why are you out there protesting? The family said that I forgive you. So you all just need to go on home. There's nothing here. What's the big deal? That's what I think. We need to do less forgiving and making sure that these people are held accountable. No, Amber Geyer, you don't get out of jail early. You don't get out of jail early. You know, last year she also wanted to get out because of COVID. Well, okay, if we let you out, does that mean that every other prisoner in jail should be let out, right? Everyone else should be let out because of COVID. What gives you special treatment? Why should you get out? No one else is getting out. You were convicted, you got a 10-year sentence, serve it. And when you got the sentence, they said more than likely you will only serve 5 years. You've been in there for 2, you got 3 more to go, at least. I'm not hugging you. You didn't deserve that hug. And your actions by saying that you never should have been convicted shows that you did not deserve that hug, shows you did not deserve forgiveness, my opinion. I don't know. We need to stop forgiving people who do us wrong. Let's see if I can bring up this other. I can't bring that up, so let me. You know, there are so many stories of Black people who are forgiving the tormentors and the killers of family members. When Trayvon Martin was murdered by George Zimmerman, because he was murdered by George Zimmerman, his parents were struggling with whether or not to forgive George Zimmerman. Why? Okay, maybe I can see you trying to forgive him after he was convicted and went to prison. George Zimmerman got off scot-free. The man that you were struggling to forgive, a couple of years later, goes out and wants to sue you for millions of dollars for defamation of character. This is the person you wanted to forgive. This person. This is what they do. You know, I mean, how do you he should have been grateful that he got off. But instead, you turn around and you want to sue the family of the person that you murdered for defamation? Defamation of what? You did kill their son. You did take his life. You were told to stay in your car. You were profiling him. All this boy was trying to do was go to the store, come back, and go back to his father's house. You did kill him. And now you want to sue their family? What the fuck? And yet they're struggling with whether or not they should forgive you? No. We need to stop forgiving and push for more accountability. We need to push for laws that hold people accountable, that hold police officers accountable, that hold politicians accountable, that hold judges, teachers, hell, even the person next door accountable. I'm going to leave forgiveness up to God. When it comes to murder and mayhem, forgiveness is his department. You run across my grass, you throw some trash down in my driveway, okay, I'll forgive you for that. But you purposely kill me, and then you want to come back and sue me? I'm supposed to forgive you? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I am not that generous. I'm just not. You know, and these evangelical Christians out there. Where you have these pastors in these churches now, usually white, who are teaching QAnon and all this crazy stuff, these conspiracy theories that are usually against people of color. But they're supposed to be Christians. Where is their forgiveness? Who are they forgiving? Black people need to stop forgiving and hold people accountable. Just my opinion. And I go back to what C.S. Lewis says. To be a Christian means to forgive the inexcusable because God has forgiven the inexcusable in you. So again, you evangelical Christians out there, where's your forgiveness? I mean, you have someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene running around, you know, comparing the Holocaust to, you know, taking vaccines and wearing masks and everything. But then she gets on TV and says, oh, I'm sorry, I went to the Holocaust Museum. I'm sorry. You aren't sorry. You're sorry because of the firestorm that happened because of your ridiculous remark. That's why you're sorry. But next week, you're going to be at it again saying something else offensive and stupid. I don't forgive people like that. I'm sorry, but I don't. I don't forgive you. When those 4 little girls were killed in that bombing, during the civil rights movement, while the church was cleaning up the debris, the church members cleaning up the debris, some of them said, I forgive them. I don't. You just bombed a church where 4 little girls were murdered. The oldest one was 14, the youngest one was 9. Their life stopped right then and there. They didn't get a chance to grow up and have a life. They didn't get a chance to be mothers and grandmothers or doctors or lawyers, whatever. They didn't get a chance to do that. Their lives stopped right then and there. Emmett Till, I don't forgive you. I don't forgive you. You beat and murdered this boy. But the woman who accused him, as she lived her life into her 80s, she regrets it. She regrets not telling the truth. You regret it? I don't forgive you. You regret not telling the truth because you were trying to keep your husband out of prison? More than likely, he wasn't going to go to jail anyway because it was the South at that time, and white folks just did not go to jail for killing and lynching and beating Black people. It just didn't happen. So you regret it? Emmett Till is dead. His mother lived the remainder of her life without her only son, her only child. I don't forgive you. The Little Rock Nine, the woman who famous picture yelling those racial slurs. She regrets it? I don't forgive you. Why, do you regret it because you were caught on camera and now that's a famous photo around the world? I don't forgive you. And you go into a church and kill 9 people who welcome you into fellowship for prayer, and you kill them. I don't forgive you. I can't. We need to stop forgiving and hold people accountable. That's just me. Because I can't do it. Now there may be people, Black and white, who are going to listen to this and again say she's racist. Solid Blue Sisters is racist. She's promoting the divisiveness. I'm not trying to promote the divisiveness. I'm trying to promote accountability and the fact that Black people are always the first ones to say, I forgive you. Living in a land where we're constantly saying, I forgive you. And we're constantly feeling unwanted and humiliated and discriminated against. So if that's how you want to call me, okay, that's fine. I can take it. But in terms of forgiveness, I'm gonna leave that for the man upstairs when it comes to killings and rapes and what have you. Yesterday, I talked about Reese Taylor. I do not forgive the 6 white men who raped her. I don't. Yeah, I don't know what Reese Taylor did back then or what her family did. But no, I don't forgive you. And I'm not just, not just with white people. You do someone harm. You rape, you kill, you murder, you beat up where someone's, paralyzed or whatever. I don't forgive you. You need to be held accountable. That's what I think. And I know there's been a lot of debates about Black people and forgiving. But to those that do forgive, you're a better person than me. And I'm not even going to say you're a better Christian than me. Because there are good people out there, a lot of good people out there that aren't Christians. I'm saying you're a better person than me because I don't have it in me. I don't have it in me to forgive someone who killed a member of my family, and especially because of the color of their skin. I just don't. Or beat them because of the color of their skin, or wanted to arrest them because of the color of their skin. I don't have it in me. Sorry. So on that note, that's all I got. Thank you for joining me. I'm Solid Blue Sister. As always, speak your truth. And I'll see you next time. Bye.